Well, this is Baruch. We're at the Zohar and Parashat Terumah, thinking what to do about this. We have an introduction brought to us by the Matok, Midvash, and it shows that he has some mastery not only of the Eitz Chaim, but also of the Sefer HaYetzirah, which is very deep. I don't know too much about it, but I've seen the words, and what do? You feel like I'm confronted by this. To try to read it, try to just see the simple meaning of what it's trying to say to me. So we're going to go through these different ideas and do the best I can. It's really just an introduction to the Zohar, which is really on Lav Kufnun Tes Amud Beis in the Zohar. He says, Lahavin Maimer Rabah, to understand what I'm about to learn. Mashakos of Arizal, we need to know an introduction from the Arizal Be'etz Chaim Sharhei Perek Vav. Up until this point, this is the point that I really can understand so far. So now we're going to go into it more. So he says, and I guess this is the way the quote starts, Haklal Ha'olam. What comes out of this, Ki Kaf Beis Osius Haim Ramach Ivarim. Somehow the 22 letters, which really are what is mushba into the nukva in many ways, they produce 248 limbs shalaguf. In other words, they produce the body. What did he say? He says the letters produce the body. Even though there are 22 of them, so how you do that, he's not telling us in this. They've been divided into 10 spheros, 22 letters into 10 spheros. Some spheros have only one letter. And then some spheros have two letters within them. Then he said, now this is where it gets deep for me. He osius emish, the letters alef, mem, and shin. Let's take those words. Heim ba'ofen, they go like this. Ze ki, the gar, that is the gimel rishonos, which is usually chochma bin das. Heim gimel kav, chochma is the right kav, bin is the left kav, and das is the middle line. So he's a v'kavin shall shin. So they also could be represented in the letter shin. Let's see. Let me see if I got a shin up here. Here's a shin, right? Everything is going up like this. Okay, so let's find out where I was. I'm not good at finding my ways. Okay. Shall shin. Harosh nivro me'esh, because at the top of the shin, we look at it over here. Making my shin back. This is actually a sin, but it's the same letter. The top of it is a candle. That's the way he says. Look, to me, it looks like a yudin, but okay, that's what he says. Rosh nivra me'esh. The aleph, the letter aleph, because we're dealing with this word emish or something like that. So we did the shin first. The aleph kolelas gimel mcius. The aleph has within it the three middle spheros, which are called chagat, chesed, gevurah, and teferes. Ki haguf nivrach meruach, and then he gives you something to say. The body is built by ruach. Ruach could mean like breath, the inspiration that causes breathing, and the whole thing, the thing that makes the machine, which is the human body, work. V'heim chub, they are chasadim and gevuros. Each one of them is represented as a yud. Now, let's just take a letter. I think he's talking about, where are you here? The aleph. So this is a regular aleph. The aleph has a yud on the top. I don't know if you could see it with this pencil. A vav in the middle and another yud turned upside down, but on the bottom. So there are two yudin and one vav. It's a gematria 26. It's interesting enough. So he says, let's go back to where we were looking. He said, So Aleph Kolelis Gimel Seiyus. So the Aleph has within it a Yud up above, which is Chesed. The Vav in the middle, which is Tiferes, that would be this, and the other Yud, which is upside down, which represents going from the bottom to the top. He's going to say that is called Gevura. Ki haguf nivra meruach, because the bottom is built by the concept of ruach. Vehem chug, and what is the ruach? The ruach, so he's saying that which makes our bodies work, and us being alive, are the chesadim and gevuras adas, which are represented by the two yudin of the aleph. Chesadim up above, gevuras down below. Vav min aleph. Now the vav that's part of the aleph, hu ha-tiferes be'emsis tiferes, and that's what you call chagat, chesed gevurah tiferes. Okay, mem pesucha. Then there's the mem, but the mem is written like a pesucha. This is a concept here. You can see the mem here. It's open in the bottom. Okay, because there's two types of mem. So let's go back. Mem pesucha be yesod, and it represents yesod. So we had chagat. Now we're in yesod. Gimel tachtonis, which also could be looked at as in terms of the 9, and that's a chod yesod. It goes as a triangular formation here. Now he brings in something, from outer space to me. He says because the stomach, that is the womb actually, is built out of water. The osios bagad, now this, I always pronounce it bagad kafra, but that's actually base gimel daled. The word beged, which means, a garment. And kafras is the letter kaf, the letter pei, the letter resh, and the letter tov. So there are 7 of them. He says, Heim bezaim nikve harosh. They go into the 7 openings of the head, which are the 2 ears, the 2 eyes, the two nostrils, and the mouth. So he says these letters, base, gimel, daled, are actually the template. This is hard to hear. Template for the formation of the 7 openings of the head. It's a detail. Then, so Yud base Peshutos. So then there's 12 letters. Apparently, they're called the Peshutos, which I guess they don't have any secret to them. They were found in the Vok of the Guf, because the Guf is really Chesed Gevurah Tiferes Netzach Hod Yesod, which is called Vok. Vav Kitzvos. A move of Sham Be'emshech HaMaimer. So it goes over there as we continue the Maimer. Ki Sheish Pamim, 6 times. Nizgalgul, rolled over, in other words, recycled. I like the word recycled. Vinis order osios alef mem and shin, and as they recycle each time, they arouse these 3 letters, aleph, mem, and shin, v'holid osios acheres, and as a result of that, other letters are built. Now, I'm just reading it. It's bigger than me, and I really don't know the details. I've been told by Rabbi Yaakov Cronenberg, he said that the Vilna Gaon really has a tremendous piece on this. So, but I haven't seen it, and I've been for it, and I'm not in the position where I want to do that right now. V'hem keneged shishid sirufi emesh. Now, the rule is, which is brought in the Sefer Yetzirah, as like anybody who knows mathematics a little bit, is that something gives the permutations and combinations of letters, and out of 3 letters you can make 6 words. They don't necessarily mean what you understand what they mean, but you can make 6 out of something which is 3 letters. You can make 6. I think. Actually, let me just think about this. Yeah, that's what it is. It's 6. On this Karim B'Sefer Yetzirah Perek Aleph, and this is the very beginning of Sefer Yetzirah. Now, it's interesting that Aryeh Kaplan wrote a book in English, of all languages, on Sefer Yetzirah. It has a lot in it, but it's, you could talk about it and talk about it and talk about it. Anyway, let's go on. Because of Od Sham, he says furthermore over there, Da, Ki haruach shehem aser spheros ein keseder hakelim. Let's see this again. The ruach contains 10 spheros. The spheros here are not in the same order as the as the 10 spheros of the kalim. Now, what kalim we're talking about, I'm not sure. Ki ha-chesed shel ha-ruach. So let's say here's the kalim. So let's say maybe he says the chesed shel ha-ruach hu bekli ha-gevura. So that is the aspect of the chesed which really belongs on the right line, because chesed is part of the right line. So he says, Ki ha-chesed shel ha-ruach hu bekli ha-gevura, but it's found in the kli that's in gevura. The gevura ha-ruach hu bekli ha-chesed, and the gevura, the ruach that's inside of gevura is going to be in the kli of chesed. So his kalos smolo biyamino. So this is the secret of the incorporation of the left side and the right side biyamino b'smolo, which is right and left. The right line and left. So this is the common concept. This is what the Reed talks about, is the unity of opposites, because in fact there are no opposites. So he says nimsa comes out like this. He haim beis bechinos. Here we see that there are in fact two different aspects. Bechina echad, one of them. He daled ruchos ha'olam are the four directions of the world. Rome, south, Tzafon, north. Those are opposites. Mizrach on the east, and Ma'arav on the west. Shehem sod kol kli v'guf. So this is the secret of the kli and the body, which is mostly that's what the basic kli is. Spheros, and then the spheros that actually make up I would say they're almost like the rest stations. It's a station. The stations, we'll call them stations. Bechina shnia, he daled yisodos ha'olam. So then you could talk. So first of all, we have the ruchos. Then we have the foundations, yisodos ha'olam, which are Eish, Ruach, Mayim, and Afar. Shehem Sod Oros v'Neshamos, which is the secret of lights, different kinds of lights. Neshamos Shalasviros, which is the Panemios, means Neshamos always means in Kabbalah Panemios. V'hem bebechinas Ruach v'Guf, that the concept of a Ruach, that is the Yesod. Let me see if I get Sod Oros v'Neshamos Shalasviros, which are the lights and the Neshamos of the Spheros. The lights are inside of the Neshamos. V'hem bebechinas Ruach v'Guf. And so that outside in idea is the bechina of the guf. The Rome, he says, the Rome is cham, it's hot and dry. Ubo mayim karim, but in that hot, dry place, he says there is cold water. Lachin, cold, wet water. This, just reading it, I don't have an insight into this. So this was also explained previously. Let's go back. If you look at Zer Anpin in the hall, that's I think a good idea for me, an explanation. So over there it's only Vav Ketzvas, Chesed through Yesod. Bechinas Gufa, which make up the Guf of Zer Anpin. So he says, Shebe Bechinas HaRuach. Now you take the Vav, you place a Ruach, this Ruach, into him, Nishlam La'eser. It completes it to a point where it becomes 10 instead of 6. So this is the concept of bringing godless into Zer Anpin. The letters are only found in the Chesed Gevurah Tiferes Netzachot and Yesod. V'chein os aleph, so therefore the letter aleph, that's one we talked about, and how it has two yud and a vav. Maskil b'chesed, it begins in chesed. Kenisker b'zohar Parashat Terumah. That's where we're at right now. This is in fact where we're at. So we're not reading the Zohar, we're just reading the introduction to the Zohar. So he says, Kosev Od Sham Perek Zayin, that the secret of the letters Aleph, Mem, and Shin is the same thing as the Vav, Yud, and the K. Vav means Das. Yud is Chochman, the K is Bina. So he says that these letters would be, therefore, the Aleph would be a Vav, the Mem would be a Yud, and the Shin. Batam Hagdamos Aleph Ba'emesh, by the other letters. In the first letter, why is it that the Aleph, we're talking about these three letters. There's something about these three letters that the Sefer Yetzirah thinks is important. He said, Ki hagam shekol hadavarim murkavim me'esh umayim varuach, that we know, whereas we know that all of these things are grafted together from fire, water, and ruach. Im kol zeh, with all of this, Iker hakol, the root of all of this, ayidei haruach shehu os aleph, is through the ruach, and the ruach, let's get these words right. The root of all of this is through ruach. Shehu, which is the letter aleph, which we said is aleph, is the number 26, actually, is 2 yudin and a vav. L'chein bezacher, I don't know, is this v'zecher v'yud k, bezacher vav yud k, those letters also. Ruach mayim eish. Maybe it's zecher, l'chein bezecher, but I wouldn't say it like that. So anyway, it says v'yud k, yud k vav, vav yud k. Okay, so let me just 1 second. Let me go back. Okay, it's the same vav q, but ZOHAR vav yud k, ruach, which represents ruach mayim eish. Ki ha-ruach olda ala kol, because all of them, the ruach is the most important part. And he says that comes from the letter aleph. Then after that, in importance, does he mean is mem, is mayim. Shua chesed, which is chesed. Chesed is always seen as water. V'ach rav shin, after that, has to come the letter shin, shuhu eish, which is fire, shuhu din. So he says once more time, I'm sorry, I started thinking about Israel in the middle of this conversation. I don't know how that happens. Anyway, mem is mayim, which is chesed. V'achrav, you finally finish off with that shin, which has fire at the top of it, shuhu eish, shuhu din. V'zehu aleph mem shin, emesh. That's what these mean. Now, what does that mean? I don't know. There is much more to this. I don't know. So, like I said, Rabbi Yaakov Cronenberg said that look in the Pirush on the Sefer Yetzirah from the Gaon. Something to think about. The female is Aleph Shin Mem. Instead of Aleph Mem Shin, she's Aleph Shin Mem. Okay, that was the word ZOHAR over there. Okay, got it. Osios Vav K Yud, in this order. there's the Vav, then the K, then comes the Yud. Now, in Yaakov Cronenberg, you've also seen explanations of how this goes. This is male, female, male again. But this time, the lesser male, which is the Vav, comes before the female, which ends up somehow relating to this final Yud. Uba mishtamshem atzerufim ein sham, and there you see that he uses the 6 different names that come out of this. He works with them. That's what he says. Al tisma, so therefore don't wonder about this. Al hashinuyim shetim b'maimer about the different things or differences that we see be'emsa in the middle of the mimer that we're about to get to. Vod mevura v'sham inyan osius beis gimel dalet kaf pei resh taf hamavur lukamon, which are going to be explained. All of these letters. Now, this is what happens in Yaakov Cronenberg in his Sefer, which is really something. I mean, it's a work of his lifetime to try to explain the cosmos and how everything is working together in great detail. I can understand it's not a whole big, it's not commercial. It's scholarly. So I recommend it. It's called, I have it handy somewhere. Anyway, it's called Jewish Astrology, a Cosmic Science. Okay, so the page doesn't look so good. We're going to finish off the page now, and this is going to be our introduction. I don't know what we'll do next time. So I just assume that the Zohar actually is aware of all of this ruach that we're talking about here. And we're going to see it coming out in the Zohar. If we have a chance, tomorrow's over Shabbos, we'll take a look at it. Okay, so here we go. It says like this, finishes up. Vod mevura v'sham b'shar vav perik hey. Ki b'bo or hadin, when the light of din comes, hu bogea b'or harishimo shu harachamim. It strikes the light of a deposited, imprinted rishimo. It strikes that, which is represents rachamim. So the din hits rachamim. That these are two opposites. This is what he wants to say. This is also concept of male and female. So then they strike each other. They hit each other. Mishum shehem beis hafchim, because they're opposites. They don't go together. Zeh or yasher. This is what we call or yasher. It means light that comes from the top to the bottom. V'hu rachamim, which is the light of rachamim. Or choser, but this is the other one is called an or choser, returning light. In other words, the light of Yasher goes from the top to the bottom. It comes from the Ein of Baruch Hu directly to your channel. But there's another light, the one that goes backwards. One is the light of Rachamim, which is the light of the or Yasher. And then there's or choser, the light that goes backwards. That's din. So let me explain to you din. Nimsa sheshnechem einem shavim. Betevim, that the two of them are not equivalent in their natures. They're different natures altogether. So therefore they start fighting. This is male and female, so watch this. This is a prelude to great things. Because whenever we see in Kabbalah, the concept of striking each other, batishos, kicking each other, Oros Zebazeh, when we're talking here about Olam Atzilus, where everything is a veil over the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, which is very, very thin and transparent. Bezel Hu Nishar Einam Shavim, they remain at this point not equal, they're opposite. Vaz Noidet Bechem Or Chodash Ein Sham, as a result of that, it produces a mix. It can produce a new light. A light that's composed of the both of them. And this is childbirth. V'sim lev. So listen, pay attention to this. He said, La'edach hakdamos, v'ezus Hashem, and if we have the help of Hashem, ye'iru l'cho as a maimer haba, should shine for you. This mimer we're about to see. So we see, I see over here that these little katlach in the Zohar, like places to stop and drill down into the river and see what's the waters are really running over here. It's called a what? Mimer. It's called a mimer. This is Baruch Fleischman, Tigran Elevator Kolel.